like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GGB Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have your self to blame, y'all. Ticket TV and a weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth on LDBC. We are the underground outfit, y'all. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence up with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, you guys, so press 1 if y'all can hear me in the comments. Got a mic check, 1 2 1 2. Press 1 if you guys can hear me in the comment section. I got a mic check, 1 2 1 2, man. Salute to everybody in the building, man. As I told you guys, this is going to probably happen, and it's going on both sides. As Cassie got hit with a lawsuit, and now Diddy has been hit with allegations now, as Sean Diddy Combs has now been accused by a actor slash music video male music video vixen or dancer for sexual assault and giving him a disease. Now, according to the reports from Variety.com, it says as the verdict looms in Diddy's criminal trial in New York, the embattled rapper has been hit with a new lawsuit. This actor that goes by the name and model that goes by the name of Edmond Laurent, a former model and actor who appeared in Britney Spears and Lil Kim music videos, is now suing Diddy and several other Jane and John Does of assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, and sexual battery, as well as civil conspiracy and aiding and abetting. Now, this man, who's called the Islander, is seeking damages for his alleged crimes that he alleges were committed upon him. Now, in a 32-page complaint that he has filed, he basically said that in a Los Angeles Superior Court, he chronicled series of alleged incidents that took place in the late 2000s at a swath of luxury hotels in Los Angeles area, including the Intercontinental in Century City, SLS in Beverly Hills, and the Mondrian in West Hollywood. Now, according to the lawsuit, Laurent was D-word and R-worded by Diddy and a mystery woman who purposefully punctured a condom with her nails and exposed him to a sexually transmitted infection. Now, the complaint states that he suffered severe health issues, including stomach cancer, as a result of this situation. As described in the complaint, he is heterosexual and was once a highly sought after to be in music videos with the likes of Tupac Shakur, Dr. Dre, Britney Spears, Lil Kim, Tamia, and other prominent artists, and appeared on an episode of Baywatch as well in the late 2000s. He was signed to the modeling agency and talent agency Latin Connection that booked him on jobs and an extra in films and music videos, as well as performing at bachelorette parties as male entertainment. Now, the alleged abuse perpetrated by Diddy began when Mr. Laurent's agency booked him for a job at a bachelorette party at a LA hotel. Now, he arrived to find a man and a woman wearing masks who wanted a private dance. Seeing nothing wrong with the request, the plaintiff proceeded to perform. Now, after the performance, he was paid and left. The man was Sean Diddy Combs, according to his complaint. A few days later, he received another call from the woman and returned. After performing his dance for the couple, the woman propositioned Mr. Laurent for sexual intercourse. According to the complaint, Diddy noted how much pleasure he derived from watching another man fuck his girl. Laurent agreed, put on a condom, and proceeded to have sex with the woman. He was paid an additional $1,000 for the act. Following that encounter, the woman continued to contact Laurent, inviting him to return. Upon arriving for another meeting at the Mondrian, the couple unmasked themselves and asked the plaintiff to apply an excessive amount of baby oil. They offered him a drink, which he tasted and quickly declined, informing them that at the time he didn't want to consume alcohol. The Jane Doe then offered him that cocaine, X, and GHB, all to which he declined, reiterating he didn't use these substances. Now, Combs insisted that he be on that same frequency as they were on, demanding that he take at least one shot of alcohol to lighten up. The plaintiff, reluctant but under pressure, obliged. Now, Mr. Laurent became extremely woozy and lightheaded. Months went by before he received a call from Jane Doe and was invited to another hotel. During this encounter, he was offered substances, illegal, and alcohol, which he declined, but was forced to use an immense amount of baby oil, which he believes was infused with GHB. While Laurent had sex with the woman, Combs asked him to remove the condom. The plaintiff refused, and Diddy and the Jane Doe informed him that they had recently been tested, were both clean, and stated that the plaintiff was the only other partner that she had. They even went so far as to produce what they claimed to be valid blood work results as the evidence that Jane Doe was STD and STI free, the suit says. Jane Doe reached down, broke the rubber with her fingernail as the plaintiff was penetrating her. Diddy then came behind the plaintiff, leaning closely in and whispering in his ear in a low, suggestive tone, "Yeah, fuck that pussy. Pound that pussy." His voice was deliberate and insistent, reinforcing the coercive atmosphere. Plaintiff felt increasingly trapped and uncomfortable, but due to the effects of the drug baby oil and the situation he found himself in, he struggled to fully resist or leave, though he attempted to and had all intent to, but was hindered by those drugs. Furthermore, Diddy also told the woman how to perform oral sex on him. When she did not perform oral sex on him as she was instructed, he would snatch the plaintiff's penis from her and mimic the movements of how he wanted her to slob on this man's knob. On the final encounter, the couple offered Laurent some orange juice, specifically because he didn't drink alcohol. Unbeknownst to him, Jane Doe and Sean Diddy Combs had spiked the drink with a roofie and ketamine. When the plaintiff regained consciousness, he was lying naked on the bed, lathered in baby oil, and felt immense pressure and pain in his booty. Jane Doe woke up, pulled out a stack of $100 bills, and handed him $500 and abruptly shut the hotel room door. The plaintiff was left feeling violated, confused, and physically unwell. Weeks later, booty hole warts appeared around the rim of Mr. Laurent's booty. The complaint says he was diagnosed with, I don't even want to say that word, I'm going to throw up. Mr. Laurent began vomiting so frequently that he lost his ability to retain solid food or liquids. As a result of getting bumped in the butt, he suffered debilitating health issues that led to him having gastric surgery and eventually stomach cancer, the lawsuit said. Also, this report says that Mr. Laurent, alongside other famous faces, were filed in this lawsuit, including Pamela Anderson on Baywatch and Oprah Winfrey in Happier Times. Those pictures are juxtaposed by a current picture of a frail-looking Laurent who is missing his teeth now due to so much vomiting. His lawsuit also lists the mystery woman as a defendant, referring to her as Jane Doe, whose identity is unknown to Mr. Laurent. It also names an additional 9 Jane and John Does who participated, facilitated, aided, conspired, or otherwise contribute to the wrongful acts. Those Jane and John Does who loosely fit the description of an entourage, controlled access, security, and medical supplies, including drinks and oils, within private suites, and cleaned evidence, ignored loud disturbances, and refused to summon help. Combs is currently being detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center, waiting on his actual date. All right. So, also, my bad, you guys. Also, hold on one second, you guys. Hold on one second, you guys. Also, there's another one tonight that involves both Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. Now, this one is a 49-page lawsuit from Mr. Clayton Howard. Now, he has a completely different allegation. Now, he brings his action against Diddy and Cassie arising from an 8-year period of systematic sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, and abuse that occurred between approximately 2009 and 2019. Now, he claims that his case exposes the darker truth behind the widely publicized narrative surrounding Cassie Ventura's recent civil settlement and the ongoing criminal prosecution of Sean Diddy Combs. Now, as I get into this complaint, I have a question in the Cash App, and the question is this going to become criminal? And I'm going to say this to you. And then you sent me another donation asking me, let me see what your name is again. That's you. That's a different person. Shout out to Tara and shout out to Stephanie too. But also, Belinda, I see you in the Cash App. You asked me about double jeopardy. Here's the situation. Sean Diddy Combs, in the case he just had, that he just beat the RICO and the sex trafficking case with those independent people, that case cannot be brought up in a federal court again. He has been found innocent on those charges. Here's the thing. The feds, whether it be in New York, Florida, California, where you're hearing most of these things, if they have evidence sufficient on other racketeering, sex trafficking, or any, for example, Diddy only got hit with 2 counts of transition prostitution. So you got more people that's coming out now saying that they were trafficked and they were paid as prostitutes for Diddy. Famous people. This ain't nobody just, you got people that's been in big time famous videos and they put their name to it. Edmund Laurent and also Clayton Howard. So here's the thing. If the feds want to double back, do a different case with Diddy, now it's going to be worse because he's already a convicted felon. And then, right, let me answer this question. You said, do I really think Puff and Cass was the only one? No, it's not what I'm saying, dog. We only talking about this particular case, though. So I'm not going to sit out here and play guess when I don't know who else they dealt with. We're only dealing with this particular situation because these are the people that they're suing. Janet Jackass. So what I'm saying is, here's the thing. Diddy's original racketeering case and his original sex trafficking case came from civil action, but it wasn't from Cassie Ventura. Lil Rod, Rodney Jones, and I told y'all this before. I told y'all during the trial, it wasn't Cassie. Everybody thought it was Cassie who went to the feds. Cassie didn't go to the feds. They all blamed Cassie. Cassie did not want to go to the feds. Cassie took immunity deal because Cassie was charged beside Sean John Combs. It wasn't Cassie. You know who went to the feds and snitched on Sean John Combs? The man who went to the feds and gave it all up, gave out the whole house layout, the mansion layout, gave him everything, all of the tapes, and he even said that he doesn't understand why all those tapes, why all that information was not released in his first trial. He says that, look, he says all the stuff I gave the feds, they only used a little bit of that stuff I gave them in the first trial. Is what that man said. The person who gave that information to federal authorities was Rodney Lil Rod Jones. He admitted today in an interview that has went viral with DJ Academics, and we did a video on it right before we came in here. He has admitted that he is the one who met with the federal agency for 3.5 full days and gave the entire information. He also admitted and he claims that the white boy was planted on Diddy. He was a plant. And that the white boy is a snitch, is what Little Rod said. Also, he drew the entire layout for the feds. He admitted today in an interview with DJ Academics of Diddy's mansion. He gave the feds every single freak-off video that he had. He gave the feds all the information on all the inner workings on Diddy. And he also revealed today in a DJ Academics interview that the feds are working on more charges currently on Sean John Combs. Now it all makes sense why the feds did not put all of those things we talked about pre-trial in this one case. Because if the feds, as I told y'all before, would have put all of that stuff in this one case and Diddy beat that, there's no chance at them to use that in a different case. But since the feds didn't put all these other things that we're now hearing in that case, now, you understand what I'm saying? You're going to see what's going on. Now, excuse me. I kind of understand what you're saying, ma'am. I'm going to get back to what you just said, though. I'm going to get back to that. But basically what's going on is everybody was asking, why didn't Lil Rod, why wasn't he brought in this case with his allegations? Well, maybe the feds didn't want to put him in this case. Once again, when Diddy beats a RICO, they can't come and bring that same type of RICO back. That's called double jeopardy. And you cannot use double jeopardy when a client is found innocent of that crime. What has to happen is they have to have the reminiscence of an entire new RICO. It can be the same people, but it has to be evidence under different terms. So, for example, and listen, to the person who says that Trump is not going to allow them to keep wasting money, the resources are unlimited. He has no choice. Donald Trump does not control FBI investigations. He has no option over that because the FBI can investigate Donald J. Trump. In fact, the FBI has investigated Donald J. Trump before. But let me say this to you. Also, this is a prime example. When all those people were celebrating and laughing, this is the same thing that happened when John Gotti beat the feds the first time. Everybody thought it was over. The newspapers celebrated him. They cheered in the streets for John Gotti, and everybody was saying, beat the case like John Gotti. And so when John Gotti beat that case, everybody thought it was over with, except for the federal government. And the federal government came back and John Gotti beat him again. And the federal government came back and John Gotti beat him a third time. And everybody thought it was over with until the federal government came the fourth time. The fourth time. And they got him the fourth time because they got his main man to flip on him. And they used secret surveillance. They just kept running it back with different cases until they got you. So the situation with Sean John Combs, here's the issue. Everybody's wondering, well, why did the judge deny Diddy's bail? If he's going to get a life sentence, why would the judge deny his bail just to give him probation, a life sentence, and let him go home? Because that's not what's going to happen, Lebowski. You can see the writing on the wall. In my opinion, Diddy's lawyers made a major mistake. And it showed in that bail hearing after Diddy was acquitted on those 3 charges. They admitted that Diddy was a very violent person and that Diddy was an abuser. And they say that if we were charged with domestic abuse or that type of abuse, we don't have a case. We would cop to that. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Here's the one thing that the feds accomplished. They have Diddy as a convicted felon. So his lawyer also used the argument, well, he's a first-time offender. He's never been in trouble. Well, if the feds come at Diddy again, he most certainly won't get bail because he's a convicted felon. And then if they come at him with violence, he has zero argument to that because his lawyers have already in open court used a violent excuse to get him off of the sex trafficking and the RICO charges in the first case. And since they said it in open court, now it's not nothing that they can take back if they come in a different trial. Different circumstances. So when Little Rod said today in that interview that went viral with DJ Academics that the feds are already working on bringing new charges against Diddy, and Ack was like, yo, more charges? He was like, yep. Now it makes sense why the feds didn't call him to the stand. Now it makes sense why the feds dropped more of the other witnesses that they had that they were going to have testify in this case. It just seems like they didn't try to put all their eggs in one basket. So now they'll probably double back, come at it again. From a whole different perspective with all new witnesses, because Lil Rod said in an interview with DJ Academics today that the feds didn't use even a portion of the stuff that he gave them for that raid and for that first legal action. Everybody was on YouTube blaming Cassie. Cassie was going to ride with Diddy. The only reason why Cassie flipped on Diddy is because she didn't want to go to prison. Cassie wasn't the one who called the feds. Cassie had originally was going to write a book because she wanted to get paid from Diddy for all the time she lost with him, being with this nigga, not having no career, and leaving empty-handed and feeling like she got treated like shit. When Diddy didn't do it, she dropped the lawsuit. Cassie never wanted to go to court and tell y'all dudes was peeing in her mouth and doing all that stuff. She didn't want to do that. She had to do that because she was charged too with Diddy. She was a co-conspirator. The dude that set Diddy up and got this whole play and admitted to it today was Lil Rod. Lil Rod in his 3-hour interview today with DJ Academics, and I'm going to say this to you again, in his 3-hour interview today with DJ Academics, admitted to everything. He talked about how he met with the feds. He said the original meeting with the feds was supposed to be 4 hours. He said when the feds saw all the information he had, they met for 3.5 straight days. He said then the feds wanted the entire layout of Diddy's home. He said he's the one that gave him where Diddy held all the drugs at. He's the one who told him where Diddy had those guns at. And he said he told him a lot more that they did not even reveal in this trial right now. Why wouldn't they do that? Why would the feds hold a lot of stuff, witnesses, and victims back in this trial? Unless they didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket. Now they have Diddy as a convicted felon. If they come back and hit that nigga again, they already know he done so. This is the same thing that happened in multiple cases. Don't call me a hater. Just do your individual research. Look at John Gotti's case. The feds didn't stop till they got him. Look at Robert Kelly. Matter what y'all say or do, gotta get this money. Watch out when they come for you. Take all of y'all honeys. They hit R. Kelly in different states. Go look at R. Kelly's case. R. Kelly got hit with charges in multiple jurisdictions. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein got charged in California and convicted, and he got charged in New York and convicted. Appealed in New York. Won the appeal, went back to court and got found guilty again on the top charge. and it was a mistrial on the other charge. They got to go back to court again on the other charge. The feds don't stop until they get you. Look at all the examples. Everybody think because Diddy walked up to court, it's over with. It ain't over with until the federal government say it's over with. That's the part people don't understand. That's why I don't understand why these people on here taking these victory laps. The only thing y'all gonna do is piss them people off even more. I wouldn't have said nothing. Diddy got free. I'd have been like, hey man, look, Diddy got free. He beat the charge. Hey, look, thank God for it. Move on. Lil Rod just did a 3-hour interview with DJ Academics that's going viral, where he made even more claims that he said is all coming out in his case. In fact, let me put this on the screen for y'all. Before I read this lawsuit, I'll put this on the screen for y'all. Because I know y'all niggas think I'm capping. Let me put this on the screen for y'all. Right now. He did this 3-hour interview today. It's all over the blogs right now. It's all over the blogs right now. The interview he did with DJ Academics. It's all over the blog. Matter of fact, I think I saw it right over here on, here it go right here. Here it go right here. Hold on. Let me see. Now, Diddy, of course, he's denied all of his claims, right? Also, he said in that interview with Act, he said that again, he said that they're investigating Diddy. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play that part for y'all, where he said they got to. I mean, not investigate. He said they're bringing more charges against Diddy. I'm gonna play that part for you guys where he said that. I thought Ag did a great interview because Ag pressed him. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I thought Ag did a good job by pressing, because sometimes you get the answers by pressing people. Like sometimes it's good to let them talk and just let them keep going, but then sometimes when you want to get certain answers, you put that pressure. I thought Ag did a great job on that interview. Now let me put this in here to y'all. This is what Lil Rod said today in the interview with DJ Academics.
Two-Star Island, that would kind of fit under. Hey, do you believe the feds lost the most important charges, or the charges that carry the most weight, because they didn't bring you in? I'm read your lawsuit, and you actually say, you know, Sean Combs and KK had me send Ubers to transport sex workers.
Now, let me stop that right there. Do y'all hear what Ack is asking him? Ack is saying, bro, you made these allegations in your lawsuit. Why didn't the feds bring you in to help this case? Great question. You know why? Think about this, y'all. Because Little Rod in himself is a whole different RICO. The fact that they didn't bring Little Rod and this, they only used Little Rod's information to get the search warrant on Diddy and to create the case. They didn't use him in this case. They didn't call him as a witness. They didn't use any of his information. Why? Because they can turn around in a whole different RICO. Because Little Rod was entrenched and he came with a lot of evidence. And they can come now in a whole different case, and it won't be double jeopardy. And they can use Little Rod and use him as the star witness, star victim, because he says that he was used too like this. They can use him and bring forth a whole slew of new charges. Listen to what Act asked him today. This is very important. That's why I told people, y'all need to listen, man. That's why I ain't saying, where everybody was doing all this laughing and cheering and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, these niggas be laugh now, cry later.
To come to Two-Star Island, that would kind of fit under sex trafficking. Like, you could have been a valuable.
See? Now, everybody talking about sex trafficking. Now, what y'all think gonna happen if they put a new jury out there, sequester them, and have them come do a whole new case with all new victims? What y'all think gonna happen then? What y'all think Diddy's guidelines gonna be then as a convicted felon, since he got these other charges on him? They already got 2 charges on him to stick. Here it go right here.
Man. Hey, do you believe the feds lost the most important charges or the charges that carry the most weight because they didn't bring you in? I'm gonna read your lawsuit, and you actually say, Sean Combs and KK had me send Ubers to transport sex workers to come to Two Star Island. That would kind of fit under sex trafficking. Like, you could have been a valuable witness. Why not bring you up there? Because KK's not going to be there. Why not bring you there to say, hey, I would send the Ubers, they would pay me back. I would send the Ubers to get the sex workers or the people who, quote unquote, being sex trafficked. I really don't know, and I really wouldn't count them out yet. They did say that they was going to bring some other charges, etc. More charges? Yeah. So
Act was like, more charges? He said, yeah. He said, I wouldn't count them out. This is what Lil Rod said, who met with the feds and who gave them all the information for the case. Everybody blamed Cassie. It wasn't Cassie. I told niggas this. It wasn't Cassie. It was Lil Rod. Lil Rod, it was Little Rod who gave the feds the whole case that y'all just seen. And Lil Rod took credit for the whole thing today, too. He was like, nobody was able to ever get anything to stick on Diddy, ever. He said, I'm the only one that got something to stick on that dude. And now he's a two-time, he's got 2 felony charges on him. Now, you think why they denied that man bail? You don't think they finna run this shit back? On a whole different situation? I told you, don't get too comfortable with these feds, man. I don't play them fed games. Because I'm telling you something. You should know how they get down. They don't like to lose. They the type of people, if you beat them, they want to keep you on the court all day. Y'all, anybody ever play basketball? You been on there with some bum, you just keep beating them. They keep talking trash. Like, bro, why you keep wanting me to come back and just beat you again? They keep you on the court until they get one win off you, then they feel good. That's how the feds do. Feds can't beat you. They're going to keep running it back till they get you. That's how they roll. So when y'all seen they didn't bring all that stuff before, now it makes sense. Lil Rod just told it.
Be there. Why not bring you there to say, hey, I would send the Ubers, they would pay me back. I would send the Ubers to get the sex workers or the people who, quote unquote, being sex trafficked. I really don't know, and I really wouldn't count them out yet. They did say that they was going to bring some other charges, etc. More charges? Yeah. So,
man, I ain't say it. Lil Rod said it, and Lil Rod was the one who met with the feds for 3.5 days and gave them everything. He gave them the entire layout and all that stuff of all Diddy's mansions. He told them where everything was. He told them how the whole operation went down. Now imagine if they hit this nigga with another indictment and got Lil Rod as the key guy up there. Now Diddy's in a whole different situation because now they got him for the 2 felonies on the transportation. He's a convicted felon and he has a registered as a sex offender. If they hit him with any more sex charges or any more felons, shit, man, you might as well go night-night. And you kind of can't do nothing to Lil Rod right now because if something happened to Lil Rod, what you think gonna happen? And to the person who said let it go, nah, I don't think I'm gonna let it go. Because these people are not gonna let it. I'm gonna keep reporting on it until we know that it's not gonna be no more cases. Anytime we get an update, I'm gonna talk about it. I do what the hell I want to do. You can make as many troll accounts as you want. That shit don't bother me. Get mad at Lil Rod. Lil Rod said it, not me. He the one that went up there and admitted on Act today that he was the one. And I told y'all this during the trial. It was Lil Rod. Everybody sitting up here talking about Cassie. Wasn't Cassie. It was Lil Rod who gave the feds everything and told the feds, this is what y'all need to do. He sat up there and told DJ Academics everything today. He said, I'm the one that gave him everything. I told him where this is. I told him where the drugs at. I told him where the guns at. I told him how he operate, everything. Lil Rod sat up there today and said he thinks that the jury was tampered with on the last day. He says that he thinks that Brianna, they got to her. That all that stuff he said in DJ Academics. Y'all don't think the feds watching that shit? Think about what I just said. So he admitted that he was the snitch, not Cassie. So everybody that was dogging out Cassie, she had to take a plea. Because if she didn't, they was gonna prosecute her too. And she was probably scared shitless. And here's the reason why. All the stuff she put in her own lawsuit, Cassie probably didn't even know she had exposed herself from all the things she put in her lawsuit. And I'm gonna tell you how I know that Cassie didn't know that. Because Cassie didn't put in her lawsuit that dudes was pissing in her mouth. That was a secret Cassie was gonna take to her grave. That was a secret she was taking to her grave forever. Her telling that stuff in court was not because she wanted to come out and do that. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. You think Cassie wanted the people to know she had all those type of infections and was doing all these salacious things beyond what she stated in her law? Go look what Cassie stated in her lawsuit and what she testified when they asked her all these different questions in court. She said way more in court than she said in her lawsuit. She didn't want to say all that stuff. Tanya says, where's all the tapes? Lil Rod said the feds got all the tapes. Lil Rod said he gave the feds all the tapes. And he said, when asked him about the evidence in the baby oil, he said, oh man, if you only knew, they only use a little bit of that. The evidence. He said they only use a little bit of the evidence in that trial. He said, man, they're bringing more charges against this dude. I said, damn, they bringing more charges? Then I instantly thought, I'm like, damn, now this shit's starting to make sense. It's like they threw the little first thing out there to see if it was going to stick, knowing that they had him on the transportation of prostitution. But check this out, y'all. If the feds can get another one of these type of cases, because now you got more prostitutes coming out saying, I ain't even going to say prostitutes, but you got more people that's coming out saying they was paid like prostitutes. If they have any type of evidence, and the feds get a hold of this, they can bring a whole new case on Diddy. That changes everything. So, anyways, Clayton Howard, he's another guy who is now brought in a lawsuit. Not this guy on your screen. Clayton Howard is a whole different guy. He's brought these allegations against Cassie and Diddy. Now, he says defendant Sean John Combs is a prominent rapper and a record executive known by his stage names Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and Diddy, who rose to fame in the early 90s with his label, The Bad Boy Records. And Cassie, professionally known as Cassandra Ventura, professionally known as Cassie, is a singer, actress, and a model who gained prominence in the early 2000s with her single Me and You and appeared in films including The Perfect Match and Set It Up to the Streets. It says the defendants maintained a highly publicized romantic relationship from 2007 to 2018, during which both were toxic individuals addicted to bleeps illegal substances who had no regard for others or for the law. See, y'all starting to see it now. Everybody thought it was Cassie who snitched and gave the case away on Diddy. It wasn't Cassie. It was Lil Rod. Because now y'all are seeing Cassie getting sued right beside Diddy. These names are coming up because Cassie was a part of the organization. The thing with Cassie is that she was getting the hell beat out of her. She was getting dragged down hallways and all kind of shit done to her. Now, right? He says, and he goes on to say that he says, let's see. He says defendant Cassie Ventura was not merely a victim forced into sexual encounters with male escorts, but rather an active and engaged participant who willingly manipulated and exploited others, including me, to satisfy the sexually depraved desires of Sean Diddy Combs and herself. For more than 8 years, those defendants operated a scheme whereby they systematically exploited the plaintiff through manipulation, coercion, controlled substances, and threats of violence to engage in non consensual sexual activities for their gratification and commercial purposes. This is the reason why Cassie had to cooperate with the feds. Because with all of these lawsuits coming with Diddy and allegations against Diddy, Cassie was bound to get hit too and be put a part of the conspiracy, and she could have faced all kind of crime, all kind of prison time too. So everybody think that Cassie just ran out there, went to the feds and tried to get it. That's not what happened. It was Lil Rod who did that shit. Lil Rod was the one. And now the whole world knows. Why? Because Lil Rod told y'all too. He confirmed it today. So he says that the defendant, Cassie Ventura, accomplished this exploitation by concealing her identity and fabricating the narrative that she and Diddy were married, using this deception to entice men into drug use and sexual encounters. Defendants Cassie and Diddy drugged the plaintiff with controlled substances, including MDMA, and doses 3 times stronger than what Cassie herself consumed to lower his inhibitions and facilitate sexual exploitation. Defendant Cassie used these substances strategically, like a spider catching its prey in this web, to manipulate the plaintiff into unwanted sexual contact designed to please Sean Diddy Combs and prove her devotion to his appetites. Defendant Cassie Ventura would command the plaintiff to masturbate for hours while she pleasured herself to climax, visibly satisfying herself at the sight of the plaintiff's anatomy. These extended masturbation sessions often left the plaintiff's penis bruised and swollen, injuries about which he would complain to defendant Cassie, seeking consideration. However, defendant Cassie showed zero mercy, sympathy, and demanding compliance while pleasuring herself in a manner she hoped would satisfy the defendant Sean John Combs, who derived satisfaction from watching her gratification through his voyeuristic desires. So this man said that he had a swollen beefcake. He said that his cock was swollen from these sessions and bruised from these sessions. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how he's going to say that when they was using baby oil all the time. You know what I'm saying? You using baby oil, that thing's supposed to be real slick, right? So I don't understand that part. But y'all see what's going on. You see what's going on, right? So this is what he's saying, right? He's saying that his beefcake, you know, took a lot of injuries. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never heard a dude say he had a beefcake injury, but this dude said he had a beefcake injury. Anyways, he says that during these encounters, Diddy watched silently in the shadows, directing the activities as if he were a film director, orchestrating his vision. Once the defendant, Cassie Ventura, was ready to begin, the defendant, Sean Diddy Combs, regulated her responses and controlled the rate of sexual activity, exercising complete dominance over both the plaintiff and defendant, Cassie Ventura, in what the couple considered a special shared experience. Now, while defendant Combs appeared to serve as a protector rather than an oppressor, supporting Cassie's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during the encounters, his presence was deliberately intimidating as a part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. Threats of violence were implied when Diddy wished to assert control, and during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip me, directing Cassie to the master suite to retrieve his firearm. This is big stuff, y'all. He's saying that Diddy was going at them firearms. Remember the feds brought all them firearms up? Now, this is force. This is force right here, y'all. This is, now see, if he can prove that, and they already talking about firearms, he's a violent man, this, that, and the third, bro, this is crazy work. So he says, at no time did Cassie display fear when engaged in or about to engage in sexual encounters. All the abuse witnessed by the plaintiff occurred due to domestic complications between the defendants, including jealousy, ego, and arrogance, aided by an extensive drug use and sleep deprivation, which contributed to the violent outburst from Diddy, who consumed far more drugs than Cassie, sexual assault, and non-consensual recordings. He says, over the years, the plaintiff was sexually assaulted by Cassie, who would manipulate and force herself on him during her menstrual cycle against his will. And the defendants filmed the plaintiff in compromising encounters without his consent for years, creating recordings that the couple would watch together after the encounters ended and for use of mutual masturbation. When the plaintiff confronted defendant Cassie Ventura about the recording and vocalized his desire not to be recorded, she explained that she enjoyed their sexual relationship and provided her reasons for the recordings. Defendant Ventura then opened her MacBook to a previous recording and masturbated to climax in front of the plaintiff while watching an encounter involving two of them, demonstrating the extent of her manipulation and control. For more than 5 years, defendants trafficked the plaintiff for uses of purpose of commercial sex, using him. Now, see, Diddy can get in trouble for this. Now, see, this is different. This ain't Cassie. This ain't no woman. This is a man saying that Diddy sex trafficked him by force because he said they used that pistol. And I'm going to tell y'all something. These lawsuits coming out now, if they get this dude to go up there and testify, here's the thing right here. Cassie can't get charged. Cassie already took immunity. But if Cassie, which the feds will probably be able to use her as a witness, goes back on the stand as a witness, not a victim, because this is a different case, and says that Diddy did tell her to go get that gun and force this dude to do what he wanted to. Now you have sex trafficking by force. So if he could prove, like the feds did in the other cases, that there was flights, payment arrangements, and things like that through messages and stuff like that, if he can prove that, the feds got a whole different case. That's why the feds didn't bring all that stuff in this one case. So the feds already got Diddy locked down as a sex offender and as a federal, they got him locked down as a sex offender and they got him locked down as a felon, right? So if this dude have text messages which they showed in court, which helped prove the other stuff before. But if he can get Cassie as a witness, because Cassie already has immunity, she can't get hit with no charges. Everybody thought Cassie bought this against Diddy. And I told everybody, bro, it wasn't Cassie. I told everybody it was not Cassie. Because at first I thought it was Cassie. But it wasn't Cassie. I came here. Remember I came here and told y'all? It was Lil Rod. It was Lil Rod. And I told y'all this during the case. I was like, yo, bro, this ain't even Cassie, dog. This is Lil Rod. At the very beginning of the case, I told y'all. I had heard that this was Lil Rod who did this. And Lil Rod came out today and confirmed that it wasn't Cassie. It was him who got this whole federal case against Diddy. He was the one that gave up all the information and gave the Fed, because he was the one that was the closest to Diddy in the recent time. The feds couldn't go because Cassie didn't have no link to Diddy recently. Lil Rod did. So they could use that to get up on Diddy. It's a statute of limitations there, right? So Lil Rod's statute of limitation was real fresh, right? So everybody that was getting mad and saying that Cassie did this and did, that wasn't Cassie. The only thing Cassie did was try to get that cheese from Diddy. She didn't even want to go to court and tell him all this stuff. It was Lil Rod. And to the person who says that Lil Rod can get obstruction for speaking on if there's a new investigation, no, Lil Rod said that he heard they were potentially bringing new charges against Diddy. That's not illegal for him to say that. Now, he could tick the feds off if they told him don't say nothing and he said something, but I doubt they told him that. So let's keep going. This situation is crazy work, man. So this guy says, right, for more than 5 years that they trafficked him for the purposes of commercial sex, using him as entertainment to satisfy their sexual fetishes and personal ambitions. The couple drugged, manipulated, and traumatized him while themselves engaging in a toxic, domestically abusive relationship that often became violent. And Diddy's lawyers cannot deny that part because they've already admitted in court that Diddy was a domestic abuser. It almost feels like, y'all, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is sure or not, but I'm going to tell everybody that's listening. It almost feels like that now this part is set up based off of what Diddy's lawyer said. It's almost like the feds wanted Diddy's lawyer to use that violent excuse in court to where if they would have run this back, that they use his own words against him. If they say, hey, man, this was violence by force, because Diddy's lawyers have already said in court he's a violent guy. Think about this. Now, let me keep going. I'm not finished yet. So, he says that Cassie had a specific preference in selecting her companions and chose the plaintiff for 8 years over many available options. As subsequent criminal trial proceedings have revealed, the allegations demonstrate that Cassie deceived, manipulated, and injured the plaintiff and therefore should be held accountable alongside Diddy, as the two were partners in these criminal enterprises. Well, she's not going to be held accountable because she already got immunity, sir. It says that the plaintiff's ability to seek timely legal recourse was deliberately frustrated through a coordinated effort involving his former counsel, who communicated with federal prosecutors without the plaintiff's presence. The plaintiff was advised to remain silent and was manipulated into inaction, with his attorney intentionally delaying action to protect Cassie's credibility. The plaintiff was specifically advised that he should file a complaint. If he should file a complaint, he would lose credibility before the court and therefore should refrain from doing so if he wished to do what was right and tell the truth. His counsel deceived, ignored, and misled him regarding the creation of the initial complaint against the defendants and when it would be filed. Despite serving as a complaint witness for the government and providing information that was lately corroborated by investigators, thereby validating his credibility and truthfulness of his statement, the federal prosecutors ultimately withheld the plaintiff's testimony despite its corroborative value and his valid allegations against both defendants. For many years, the plaintiff has lived with this trauma in silence, forced to endure the psychological and physical consequences with no visible avenue for justice. While defendants Ventura's allegations have destroyed Diddy's career, she has escaped liability by using allegations of abuse to avoid criminal responsibility for her own actions, thereby denying victims like the plaintiff the justice to which they are entitled. With the opening of legislation that granted survivors a look back window to seek justice against offenders, the plaintiff learned he had been given a second chance to obtain the justice he deserved. The plaintiff has also sought justice for over a year only to be denied through manipulation of legal professionals who wish to affect the criminal trial of Sean Combs. Mr. Howard was used and manipulated. Now tired of the misconduct and incompetence, he has sought action himself and refused to remain silent any longer in the face of the systematic exploitation, abuse, and attorney misconduct. Right? Now, it goes on. It goes on, right? Factual allegations, right? So he says that he met Cassie, right, in 2009. Now, Cassie identified herself as Jackie Starr. She invited him to the London hotel located in New York City to serve as a male companion and provide her with time and company in the privacy of her hotel room for an agreed upon hourly rate. Cassie attempted to conceal her identity through the use of makeup, a large red wig, and dim lighting in the room, which created poor visual conditions. Cassie failed to inform Mr. Howard prior to meeting that another party would be present. Immediately after greeting Mr. Howard, Cassie offered him alcohol and a marijuana cigarette, then instructed him to be seated in the living room. The two parties spoke for approximately 30 minutes while becoming familiar and relaxed. After approximately 30 minutes, Cassie asked to see the personal identification of Mr. Howard for safety purposes so she would know who he really was. Yeah, Cassie got full immunity. See, by Cassie cooperating with the feds ain't coming after Cassie. The only thing the feds are gonna do is use Cassie as a witness in every case to testify against whoever they prosecute. She working with the feds now. She got flipped. See what I'm saying? So it's just having nothing to hide and wanting to make a woman he assumed alone comfortable. He provided Cassie with his NYS driver's license, revealing his true identity. Cassie informed Mr. Howard of her intentions by standing and requesting that he expose his beefcake. Under the influence of substances provided, Mr. Howard agreed to Cassie's request, and she claimed to be impressed with his beefcake. Cassie then informed Mr. Howard that they were not alone and her husband was upstairs, but assured him that the situation was acceptable because her husband had consented to her having male companion visit to see where things might lead. Cassie explained that she and her husband were participants in the quote-unquote lifestyle and that her husband preferred to watch her be pleasured by other men with large cocks. Cassie stated that she preferred men with darker complexions, complimenting Mr. Howard's complexion before excusing herself to retrieve her husband so that the activities could begin. Cassie retrieved Diddy, who she was introduced as her husband, and presented her Mr. Howard under the alias as Frank Diddy. So Diddy greeted Mr. Howard with indifference, then retrieved baby oil and Astroglide lubricant, both of which had been positioned on a platter on the center table. Mr. Combs then retreated to a darkened corner of the room where poor lighting made it difficult to observe his movements clearly. Mr. Howard was instructed not to ask Diddy directly and to speak only to Cassie. Diddy concealed his identity by wearing a baseball cap pulled over low over his eyes and a cloth tied around his nose and mouth, which obstructed his facial features and made him unrecognizable. When Diddy did speak, it was to inquire whether Cassie was acceptable or if she needed anything. Diddy also provided direction to both Mr. Howard and to Cassie, regulating the pace of their physical contact, as will be further explained in subsequent paragraphs. The first encounter served as the plaintiff's initial education into what would be required of him by the defendants, with all subsequent encounters following an identical structure that forms the basis for the description of all encounters described hereafter within this complaint. During each encounter, Mr. Howard had no autonomy. He was required to follow orders and was expected not to disobey. This is by force, y'all. Financial compensation was used as a form of dominance once Mr. Howard was committed to any activity within the encounter. Mr. Howard was instructed by Cassie to remove all his clothing upon entry into the suite and surrender his clothing and phones to Cassie Ventura. Mr. Howard's cell phone was turned off and surrendered with his clothing to Cassie, which prevented him from leaving by choice without compromising his safety. Now y'all all see why Cassie took the plea deal and testified for the feds, because Cassie has been given immunity. So now nothing that they use against her is going to stick, because she will testify on the behalf of the feds whenever they need her. Diddy was wrong because he was out here beating the hell out that girl, dragging her around and treating her like a damn rag doll. And that nigga's trash for that shit. But I told y'all, Cassie was a co-conspirator. Cassie never wanted to snitch on Diddy like this to the feds. It was Lil Rod who went and did this. And that forced Cassie's hand to where Cassie had to take a plea or get charged with Diddy. Now let's keep going. Because she had already put self-incriminating allegations in her own lawsuit. So let's keep going. It says that Mr. Howard, right? Oh no, it says some suites require key access. It required keys to access the floors and had no access to stairwells without triggering alarms, making escapes difficult. Mr. Howard was instructed by Cassie to apply baby oil on his new body. When Mr. Howard applied the baby oil to his hand and began to distribute it evenly, Cassie would use her own bottle to saturate his chest, his abdomen, his arms with oil before stepping closer and attempting to apply it evenly herself. Cassie even sprayed Mr. Howard with oil during application to make distribution over his skin easier. The defendants structured these encounters into 4 phases. 1, no touch. 2, soft foreplay. 3, head. 4, intercourse, which were directed by Diddy for the purposes of controlling Cassie's arousal and timing of climax. During these phases, Mr. Howard had no input or ability to offer suggestions and was simply expected to comply. Through the use of manipulation and financial coercion, Mr. Howard would remain in these phases for hours, with each individual stage lasting for over an hour. Mrs. Ventura, to the person Gen X, hold on, I got to answer your statement. You said leave Cassie alone. She has been humiliated, abused, bullied, and sober. Now she paid for her bad deeds. She didn't do any prison time. I got to keep it real with you. For her crimes, and I feel bad about what happened to Cassie. Who has been a bigger speaker upper for the way dudes been beating on Cassie and the other woman than me? But ma'am, you can't get mad if this person's making allegations of what he said he experienced. Why don't you respect this man's allegations? You can't just respect it when he's just talking about Diddy. He's telling you what happened with Diddy and Cassie. How can you be mad at that? If it's the truth, you should not want to run, be afraid, or hide from the truth. You should want to know the truth. These are all facts, man. You should want to know the truth. This is the situation, right? So he's telling you this. Listen to what I'm saying to you now. You gotta keep it 100, man, when we read it. I'm telling you. Now, also, it says, and again, I feel bad about what happened to Cat. I don't condone no nigga hitting no woman like that. I don't. Y'all know how I roll. I don't roll like that. See what I'm saying? But that man have a right to tell what he said happened to him. What, you only want to listen to shit about Diddy? If he's saying that Diddy and Cassie did something to him, why would you reject those allegations? If they did something bad to this man, that shit out of pocket. If Cassie had something to do with it, she didn't get called out too. So this is his allegation. Don't get mad at what he's saying. He's telling you what he experienced. So let's keep going. Right? So it says that Mrs. Cassie Ventura controlled the start of the activity and would seek Diddy's permission regarding when she could progress to the next stage. If Diddy was not ready, he would refuse permission, but often granted Cassie permission to masturbate if she requested it. Once the activity began, Cassie controlled its progression and pace, seeking to control Cassie's desires while pleasuring himself. Oh no, excuse me. It says once the activity began, Diddy controlled its progression and pace, seeking to control Cassie's desires while pleasuring himself rather than directly participating. It sounds like this man is keeping it even between the two of these people. That's what it sounds like. I know you might not like hearing that, man. But they say, you know what they say about the truth, right? See, you know what they say about the truth, right? See, the niggas that get mad at me because I keep it 100. But the one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep it 100. This is the first man that openly named Cassie in a lawsuit, right? I'm telling y'all this. I'm telling y'all this. So make it make sense. You finna hear a lot of stories like this now. I'm telling you this. A lot of stories, right? And here's the thing, I'm gonna say it again. I disavow what Diddy did to Cassie. I think what he did to Cassie is downright devilish. And I think that it's insane, and I think it is inhumane what he did to that woman. And I never had no level of respect for that nigga, for what he did. That shit is disgusting and it's disgraceful. But guess what, y'all? This man telling his side of the story, and he's saying it was both Diddy and Cassie. That's what he's saying. So he said these prolonged masturbation sessions, you said you can't compare him to Cassie and Jane, especially Cassie with a 10 album. I'm not talking about that, man. This is not what we talking about. We listen, I understand everything you're saying. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about Clayton Howard's allegations against Diddy and Cassie. Why do y'all have a problem when somebody want to tell their own story? It's like you want to control the story a person tell. This man have a right to tell his story. What's the problem with this? This is why I'm finna tell y'all something. Ladies, this is why these dudes be acting the way they be acting towards a lot of y'all, man. If this man came out here and said, look, man, Cassie did me dirty too with Diddy, how y'all don't accept that? Come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. And again, I don't respect what Diddy was doing to Cassie. But damn it, the man who was there say she was doing this shit to him too. Right? So do I think that Cassie was victimized by Diddy? You damn right. But do I think that Cassie got turned into a whole different person herself? You damn right. I believe that too. I believe both things to be true. That's why I told y'all Cassie was a co-defendant. She was a co-defendant. Right? Everybody thought she just gave the case to the feds. No, she was a co-defendant. They flipped her. Jane Doe, co-defendant. They flipped her. Why? Because they committed crimes with Diddy. And check it out. If they didn't commit crimes with Diddy, they wouldn't have needed no reason to take no plea. It would have been no reason for them to need immunity if they didn't commit crimes. Now, it's on you to whether you feel like they were manipulated all the time, some of the time. Me personally, I think that, Diddy has his ways of doing things, but I think that some of the times he manipulated these women into doing what he wanted them to do. Period. Now, do I think it was every single time? No, it couldn't have been every single time because you've seen the text messages from Cassie and from what you call it. But do I think that Diddy exploited them and used them? You damn right I do. But y'all want to absolve, and you can't do this. When we looking at this situation now, you got a dude that's coming out here with clear allegations against Cassie. And it's not vague. He giving clear details. So he said these prolonged masturbation sessions frequently cause skin tears and scabs on this man's beefcake, causing him severe pain and scarring on his nuts. Now, Mr. Howard stood covered in baby oil. Cassie and Diddy would masturbate while watching him, which gave him a constant feeling of uneasiness and uncertainty. Now, while Mr. Howard was ordered to stand nude Both Diddy and Cassie would pleasure themselves to the point of climax while looking at this man's nuts. That's crazy. Both defendants would be intoxicated, using substances and alcohol to alter their moods and keep them awake. Some of these substances were Schedule 1 narcotics, including amphetamines and the O word. The specific drugs used included X, GHB, ketamine, cocaine, MDHD, and marijuana. Cassie, in the earlier or middle years, was extremely physical with Mr. Howard and would orally pleasure him for periods exceeding 1 hour at a time. She would get this man top for more than 1 hour. She would top this man off. Dehydrated from drugs, lack of water, and constant engagement in oral, Cassie would often perform oral until she had to stop when she got lockjaw or her jaw got sored from prolonged activity. When intercourse was to occur, Cassie's arousal would be so heightened that she would often beg Diddy to allow her to engage. Mr. Howard was directed to engage in sexual contact with Diddy until she climaxed and was only allowed to stop once Cassie climaxed. Once Diddy consented to sexual contact, Cassie controlled the degree of intimacy, including kissing, the intensity of kissing, and whether she would engage in unprotected sex, as will be described in the later paragraphs. Once the climax of Cassie occurred, the cycle would be repeated. One encounter with Cassie will consist of 15 to 30 individual sessions, each including all 4 stages. The number of sessions also depended on the number of days Mr. Howard would be detained until the defendants were ready to return his phone and clothing and release him. If Mr. Howard attempted to leave, he would be coerced by Cassie into waiting or ignored if he knocked on the suite's master bedroom door, seeking to retrieve his items to leave. During the trial testimony of Mrs. Ventura, Mr. Howard heard her statements regarding Diddy and how she allegedly had been forced to have unprotected sex with male entertainers. Cassie claimed to have never wanted such activities and to only have engaged in them as a result of Diddy's abuse and attempts to blackmail her. Although this allegation was substantiated in one instance during the trial, it is not the same in all. It does not completely substantiate all of Cassie's claims of force and coercion, as every instance is not the same. Mr. Howard confidently asserts Mr. Howard confidently asserts that Diddy did not force Cassie to engage in a sexual encounter after the overdose she experienced while in his presence. It was Cassie who begged for the encounter despite Diddy's repeated attempts to end the night due to the overdose. Mr. Howard confidently asserts that it was Cassie who initiated unprotected sexual contact with him and that Diddy had no knowledge of it occurring until it was underway. Once Diddy, who was observing the sexual activity, noticed there was no condom being used, he stopped the activity and confronted Cassie about her actions. In response, Cassie lied to Diddy, falsely informing him that she had reviewed his STD results, Mr. Howard's, and confirmed he was completely clean. Mr. Howard immediately, consciously out of the lie, conscious of the lie, interrupted and told Diddy the truth, which was that Cassie had told him it was false or was false. Mr. Howard then provided his actual STD results to Diddy directly from his email. Once unprotected sex began, Mr. Howard will be pleasured into continuing it by both parties. Mr. Howard was told that he was to be the exclusive partner of Cassie, and it was agreed that he would be compensated in exchange for clean test results and continued exceptional service. The arrangement was agreed to after Mr. Howard was coerced into participating in an orgy with Cassie, Diddy, and another male provider named Daniel Phillips. The goal of the orgy was to determine who could please Cassie Ventura the longest without issue, Mr. Howard or Mr. Phillips. The two men were offered substances and expected to perform continuously, taking turns with Cassie, who was an eager and willing participant. This encounter lasted for nearly 2 days before it ended. Mr. Howard outlasted Mr. Phillip. He was declared the winner. An exclusive arrangement was proposed. Drug use was a major component of the encounters during the majority of the meetings. Mr. Howard did not engage in harder drugs for the first 2 years until they were offered to him by Cassie. Mr. Howard, seeking to stay awake in response to the repeated quest to satisfy Cassie, began having difficulty staying awake as more was demanded of him. Cassie offered Mr. Howard X, claiming that it to be light and harmless in the dosage that she would provide. Mr. Howard would learn from Cassie that she had tripled the dosage in order to get him freaky, as he recalls, and increased the intensity of the encounter. Believing the two were in a monogamous relationship since the exit of Mr. Phillips, always receiving clean results when taking STT tests, and though the inducement of drugs and alcohol, the unprotected sex continued. Mr. Howard impregnated Cassie, who ultimately decided to abort the pregnancy when she was unable to locate Mr. Howard for a period of time. Even after aborting the pregnancy, Cassie sought to have unprotected sex during the encounter for years. After reconnecting when separated for almost 8 months, Cassie confessed to Mr. Howard at New York City's Gramercy Park Hotel that she had aborted a pregnancy created by Mr. Howard. Despite this revelation, Cassie Ventura insisted on unprotected sex during that very encounter, which lasted several days as the two reconnected after the separation. It was after his victory in the encounter with Daniel Phillip that Cassie drugged Mr. Howard with a triple dose of X and manipulated him into unprotected sex. Mr. Howard recalls being drugged by Cassie, who admitted to doing so when asked once. Mr. Howard contacted her again after the initial incident. Specifically, Mr. Howard was given X by Cassie after he complained of exhaustion due to demands placed on him during the encounters. Instead of providing coffee or an energy drink, Cassie retreated to the bedroom and returned with an X pill. When Mr. Howard complained about the disdain for the pills, Cassie crushed the pill, put it into a drink she prepared, informing Howard that she had only included a small dosage. Having known Cassie for several years at this point, Mr. Howard trusted her and consumed the drink prepared by Cassie. Mr. Howard recalls feeling hot and beginning to sweat uncontrollably with several moments of consumption. When he complained of this to Cassie, her response was a passionate kiss before she aggressively grabbed a hold of his cock and placed it in her mouth. Mr. Howard recalls never feeling so intoxicated in his life, with the drug enhancing all of his senses and sexual desires. He and Cassie began with condoms, but they were removed by Cassie, who quickly rolled off the protection and pressured unprotected contact while Mr. Howard's inhibitions had been lowered. Mr. Howard and Cassie Ventura would engage in the encounter for over 2 days while Diddy watched on occasions, engaged in contact with Cassie. When the parties were all exhausted, Mr. Howard was given back his belongings and allowed to leave. He was compensated with additional funds due to his condition caused by dehydration and lack of sleep. Mr. Howard left confused, dehydrated, disoriented, ultimately pulling his vehicle over and parking on the side of a grocery store. He woke up hours later, weak and sweating. He was able to get up help by calling an Uber, which brought him home to his girlfriend. He spent 3 days recovering from that encounter. After Mr. Howard confronted Cassie during the following encounter, she confessed to drugging him. Following the confession, he did not accept beverages from her, except 3 times he took a drink over the next 5 years. The final drink led to physical assault on Cassie Ventura. Mr. Howard was drugged by Diddy in the Trump property at Columbus Circle in New York City. During the encounter, Mr. Combs offered that he offered him a pink substance in a small plastic bag called Pink Molly. Mr. Howard, who only indulged in drugs with Cassie, was introduced to both Molly and X by Cassie for purposes of enhancing their sexual encounters. Mr. Howard's knowledge of the designer drugs was insufficient, and therefore he did not trust the known unknown substance at first when it was offered. Mr. Combs began to hint at Cassie's insistence on indulgence, explaining that she may be angry if he did not partake. Mr. Combs had never offered Mr. Howard drugs before this point, and the two had developed a mutual respect during years of contact connected by Cassie Ventura. Now, against his better judgment, Mr. Howard agreed to consume a small dosage, hoping it would satisfy the demand and end the matter for the night. Now, Diddy retreated to the master suite within minutes. Mr. Howard recalls becoming extremely warm when he began to sweat uncontrollably. He began to have violent spasms, which curled him over, forcing him to crawl into a nearby bathroom. At no time did either Cassie or Diddy exit the master suite. Once in the bathroom, Mr. Howard began to vomit uncontrollably. The pain from his stomach was intense, and he could not stop sweating no matter how much he wiped. The vomiting lasted several minutes until there was nothing left to regurgitate. Mr. Howard lay dizzy and weak on the bathroom floor for several minutes before he regained his strength to stand and approach the door. It was Mr. Combs who came upon the weakened and disoriented Mr. Howard first. Noticing the visible change, Diddy inquired about Mr. Howard's condition. Mr. Howard recalls being afraid to confess his condition, but he began to feel so sick that he controlled his condition to Diddy. Right? He confessed his condition to Diddy, Diddy examined him briefly and agreed he did not look good. Diddy turned to enter the master suite and asked him to wait. Diddy and Cassie exited the suite together. When Cassie asked what's wrong, Mr. Howard informed her that Diddy had given him was responsible. Cassie asked Diddy, what did he give it, Mr. Howard? Diddy said the pink shit. When Mr. Howard replied that Diddy told him that it was Molly, it was Cassie who informed him that the substance that had been given was not Molly. Mr. Howard was given around $1,500 and released. He managed to exit the hotel and walk over 40 city blocks in December conditions, sweating uncontrollably and afraid. Finally, around Union Square, located in Manhattan, he regained enough of himself to call a friend and ask for help. He was picked up on a side block, taken home to recover. Mr. Howard was flown in by special request of Cassie from New York City to Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California, numerous times to entertain Cassie. Cassie would directly call Mr. Howard for encounters and on occasion threaten and or pressure Mr. Howard to become available. The trafficking began shortly after Mr. Howard's victory over Daniel Phillip, the other male provider, whom he was pitted against during a sexathon, as later described by Cassie Ventura. That's crazy work, man. Wow. Sexathon. As a part of his reward, he began to receive the perks like travel and small gifts given to him by Cassie. Mr. Howard will be contacted and asked if he was available to fly out to a location. In the beginning, it was exciting and flattering to experience such an attractive woman hungry for the attention. Once, over time, Mr. Howard became aware that this was much more than that. The first instance of trafficking occurred when Mr. Howard was flown to Miami from New York after a call from Cassie. It was a cold New York, and Cassie's call on a freezing winter day seemed like a gift to Mr. Howard. A flight booked using JetBlue, which Cassie paid for, and Mr. Howard was off to Miami. Mr. Howard met the couple at the Mondrian, a hotel property located in Miami area. Mr. Howard checked into a suite under the name Frank Black, which was given to him by Cassie during the whole ride from the airport to the property. During all instances of sex trafficking, Mr. Howard will be presented to hotel staff as security for bad boy records, Mr. Ventura and Mr. Combs. Mr. Howard will spend days servicing Cassie, waiting to be released so he could be returned home to his normal life. He asked to come for one, but that was not to be released until 3-something days later. Now it says, Mr. Howard was inconvenienced, but felt intimidated by this lifestyle of the couple, so he endured, hoping to be released sooner than what he was. Mr. Howard will be flown to Miami many times, where he was induced in a drug usage, alcohol usage, prolonged unprotected sexual activity with Cassie. And Cassie repeatedly stated to Mr. Howard how she hated condoms and they irritated her. It was for this reason she was reluctant to use condoms, as she would state they would irritate her and create a smell. Damn. It was during an encounter at the Beverly Hills Hotel in Los Angeles when Cassie forced herself on Mr. Howard during her menstrual cycle. As will be explained in the next paragraph, later paragraph, this was not an accident, but a calculated disregard for the plaintiffs as punishment for reducing or to comply with Cassie hoops. All right. So now he says, man, this shit is crazy, y'all. What? He goes on to talk about sexual assaults, alleged STDs. Man, bro. Unbelievable stuff, man. And this goes on and on and on, y'all. On and on and on, you guys. It also, he said he cooperated with the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York in December of 2023. Right? Crazy work. Man. Wow, man. Unbelievable stuff, bro. Unbelievable stuff, man. Dang. And he alleged that the government used attorneys to try to hinder him from coming and testifying against both of them, both Diddy and Cassie. Like they tried to curb the investigation. All right, you guys. So yeah, man, this is crazy work, bro. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I'm looking at this lawsuit, man. I'm just skimming through it, man. Bro, this thing is 49 pages, y'all. God, dog. Bro, this man ain't playing no games, bro. Crazy work. And to somebody who said Diddy put him through it, why would Diddy put him through it? And he said Diddy sex trafficked him. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You know what it sounds like to me? This is a guy that's telling the truth about what happened to him. That's what it sounds like to me. If Diddy put him up to it, why would he expose Diddy for sex trafficking? Why would he say that Diddy sex trafficked him, that Diddy was the one told Cassie to go get the gun, and he threatened him with the gun, the pistol whip him? Why would he say all that? Diddy wouldn't want his name and all that. It's not too late, Francis Smith. It's never too late because it's completely different allegations from what was just tried. And if you bring up completely different allegations, you can try that in court if you have enough evidence. They just can't retry the same case they just had. With victims, Cassie, same story. With Cassie, same story. With Jane, same story with Mia. They can bring all new victims in and go back at this again. Yeah, I think that the feds, you got to watch how they moving now, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think this is going to stop right here, bro. I think the suit's going to get crazy and crazy and crazy. Y'all let me know what y'all feel. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel and check out our next video. I'm going to put a link to the next video in the comment section. And shout out to everybody who subscribed to the podcast show. I got more episodes for the podcast show coming out tomorrow. Y'all make sure y'all click the link to the podcast show. Salute to all of y'all and everybody that donated to the stream. Y'all hit me in the Cash App, PayPal. Y'all already know what it is, man. Salute. I love y'all. Appreciate it. Go on.
All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this video. Make sure that you guys shop our merch. We got that new A-Weapons merchandise right there below this video. All you got to do is look below. The links will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well to get the merch, to donate, support the channel, and subscribe to our podcast show. You'll see all those links pinned at the top of the comment section of this video. And we appreciate everybody that supports this channel and our networks. Also, that straight drop weight loss formula. Go to the website. You guys will see that. A link for that will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well. Go right there for all of your weight loss needs. Straight drop weight loss formula. We have a lot of testimonials on the website. You can go to www.str-8-drop.com and get you some of the weight loss formula today. Take your weight loss serious. Get in the gym, work out, exercise, and do what you got to do to stay on point. We appreciate everybody that's been locked into this video. Again, all the links are pinned at the top of the comment section below. Salute to all of y'all. And again, we appreciate everybody who support what we doing over here.